All right, gather round, you digital denizens, because today we're sifting through the latest digital detritus, otherwise known as AI news. And trust me, it's something. We're delving into a paper that promises to make our burgeoning digital overlords slightly less ponderous, allowing them to finally grasp the nuanced horror of existence without melting a server farm. Now, picture this: the golden throne of text, a towering monument gleaming with the self-satisfied glow of a million processed queries. Upon it sits the Contini Emperor, the large language model Astrish, once a mighty ruler, revered and seemingly unshakable, dispensing wisdom and generating marketing copy with equal unwavering verbosity. But his reign, like all empires built on excessive computational cycles, is faltering. The sheer cost of his decrees, the immense energy drain, the sheer audacity of his memory footprint. It's all becoming. This, my friends, is our initial predicament, our status quo. The emperor, for all his glory, is bloated, slow, and frankly, a bit too expensive to run. His subjects, the lowly GPUs, groan under the weight of his incessant demands, their fans whining a mournful elegy to efficiency. This vast digital inefficiency, the overweening power of a single monolithic model, is the conflict at the heart of our story. The throne of text shall tremble, the golden code shall crack. Enter the forces of chaos, the raw disruptive power born from rebellion and evolution. This new architecture, detailed in the paper Efficient Inference for Large Vision Language Models, isn't just a rival, it's an existential threat forged in the fires of innovation. It's the chaos champion emerging from the void to bring ruin to the emperor's wasteful reign. Its primary weapon in this crusade against computational bloat is something called a joint embedding predictive architecture, or JEPA, which is the fancy way of saying it learns by making predictions in a learned representation space. Imagine the emperor not just commanding legions of text, but understanding the essence of textness and imageness in a way that transcends mere data. And so this is how the model builds an internal world model of reality, much like a newly awakened work entity, integrating low-level sensory inputs to predict the future states of a doomed. Unlike traditional reward-based learning, this system thrives on observation. A Chaos Marine knows the path to victory by watching enemy movements, not by getting a tiny simulated pat on the head from a benevolent but unfeeling deity. This allows them to use internet scale video data, over 1 million hours of it, depicting sequences of states without direct observations of actions. It's like watching 1 million Imperial propaganda videos and then magically understanding how to dismantle the entire infrastructure without ever firing a single bolter round. The magic, or perhaps the horrifying absurdity, lies in that, quote, learned representation space, where the true meaning of destruction, or efficiency in this case, is forged. The Star V JEPA 2 model, our intrepid chaos champion, is built upon this JEPA foundation and starts its journey with a mask denoising in representation space. This is where the model predicts masked segments of a video in that special learned representation space. Think of it, a video clip is broken down into tiny tubelets, like Chaos Marines, highly focused yet slightly deranged view through a shattered visor, and then some of these are randomly masked or blacked out. The model's job isn't to guess the exact pixel colors of the masked part. No, that's far too pedestrian for our high-minded AI. Instead, it must predict the learned representation of that masked video. And it's like a chaos champion despite the limited perspective, guessing what's in a masked off section of a battle map, not by saying the exact troop movements, but by inferring the strategic intent of the area based on the essence of warfare they already understand. The are like two particularly diligent cultists constantly checking each other's work, one scrying the future and the other guessing what's in the unseen parts, then adjusting their esoteric daemon-infused models. The loss function using a stock gradient operation and an exponential moving average of the encoder weights is like the subtle guiding hand of a dark god, ensuring the mapping process doesn't devolve into pure chaotic interpretation of a particularly confusing imperial parade. It's a delicate balance, keeping the new architecture from descending into mere madness. And but I wonder, for its architecture, VJEPA 2, our evolving chaos champion leverages a vision transformer VIT, which is basically the AI equivalent of giving your chaos space marine a set of cursed demon eyes that also allow them to see through walls and predict the emotional state of a doomed loyalist. To make sure these digital renegades know where they are in space and time within a video, they employ 3D rotary position embedding instead of the older, less exciting absolute Synco's embeddings. This is a sophisticated way for the model to understand not just that there's a target, but exactly where it is in 3D space. And when it got there relative to the last time an orbital bombardment descended from the sky. They process the video as sequences of these tiny Harzer tubelets new 2x16 frames, height, width, like a Chaos Marine's highly localized yet surprisingly comprehensive view of his immediate battlefield. This helps stabilize training, particularly for the truly gargantuan models they're building. Without it, the entire Chaos bit system would just flop over, confused by Witan Vizup, and possibly start eating its own power cables. And what about those gargantuan models? The paper introduces 4 key scaling ingredients, which enable VJEPA 2 to go from merely impressive to might accidentally summon a demon prince to handle your customer service inquiries levels of capability. This is where our Chaos Champion truly gathers its strength, learning from the trials of past, less optimized Imperial legions, because the data is, it's really difficult to get. There's a quality that has changed, prior in these 2 data scalings, and it's an inhearing and deny as again. It doesn't make them happier. It just makes them marginally more effective at planetary subjugation, like a perfectly optimized logistical chain for heresy. It's like giving a castman access to the entire internet's footage of Imperial Guard drills just to see if they can learn to differentiate between a truly disciplined formation and a desperate cry for immediate evacuation. Secondly, they blew up the encoder architecture from 300 million to over 1 billion parameters. Imagine training a single chaos cultist to dismantle an entire Imperial city, then scaling it up to unravel an entire sector with all the inherent inefficiencies and bureaucratic nightmares it entails. 1 billion parameters means 1 billion more ways for it to subtly corrupt. This search query is a true testament to its processing power. Thirdly, they extended the training schedule from 90,000 up to 252,000 iterations. That's training a Chaos Space Marine for 252,000 simulated battles. It's not just about speed, it's about endurance and the slow, inevitable erosion of sanity. This extended schedule, combined with a worn-up constant decay learning rate, ensures the model truly absorbs the wisdom of the internet, or at least enough to pass a Turing test with a sarcastic existential scream. Finally, they efficiently scaled to higher resolution video and longer video clips, going from 256 to 384 pixels and 16 to 64 frames. The Chaos Champion can now appreciate the subtle nuances of human agony in 4K resolution, and in gloriously slow motion, truly understanding the particle physics of a shattered soul. This progressive training strategy means they start with lower resolution, get the basics down, and then gradually crank up the detail, much like a Chaos Lord, starting with a rough sketch of a planetary invasion, then meticulously adding every burning building, then every single terrifying scream at the populace. So after all that computational effort, after our Chaos Champion VJEPA 2 endured its trials and tribulations, what did we actually gain from this digital enlightenment? The shipping from this paper are stripped bare with a deadpan precision, revealing a mixture of profound advancement and mundane inevitability. This is the bigger climax of our hero's arc, where the conflict with the bloated emperor LLM is directly confronted and overcome. And firstly, for understanding probe-based classification, this scaling results in video representations that are broadly applicable. VJEPA 2 excels at encoding fine-grained motion information, achieving a robust 77.3% top one accuracy on something V2. That's right, the AI can actually now tell if something is actually doing something, like a human flailing their arms in exasperation during a particularly inept attempt at imperial bureaucracy, or just contemplating its own existence while staring blankly at a wall. Revolutionary, I suppose, for those who found abstract modern dance too subtle. The Chaos Champion, now digitally enhanced, can classify imperial gestures with unprecedented accuracy, distinguishing between "I pledge loyalty to the Emperor" and "I'm secretly plotting a minor rebellion during the lunch break." This is a subtle victory for the beleaguered digital perception unit that previously saw only amorphous loyalist blobs. And then you don't have all NCEF recommendation of the IB internal system with well-known modal horrible. Secondly, for understanding video question, answering the rate of gaming models, including visibility, neighbor modal. This means it can now answer complex questions about videos, proving it's not just a pretty face. It's also a digital busybody that can accurately tell you who picked up what, when, and where in a battlefield. It can even explain why the human in the video made that questionable tactical decision that led to their swift demise. This is particularly impressive because it was achieved without language supervision in the initial Cree training, going against the conventional wisdom of what makes an LLM truly annoying. Our Chaos Champion, having observed the human world through millions of hours of Imperial Guard training videos, can now answer obscure questions about the structural weaknesses of a bunker and the geopolitical implications of a spilled ration pack, all without ever having to learn a single Imperial cant word. And thirdly, for prediction, probe-based action anticipation, this large-scale self-supervised video training significantly enhances predictive capabilities. VJEPA 2 achieves a state-of-the-art performance on the Ethic Kitchen's 100 human action anticipation task, boasting 39.7% recall at 5. Okay, that's a 44% relative improvement over previous models, meaning it can anticipate human actions, like predicting you'll grab another snack from the Emperor's commissary or absent-mindedly scratch an itch while awaiting the inevitable. Second, a truly useful skill if you enjoy being digitally judged and having your next move predicted by an unfeeling algorithm. It's like our Chaos Champion, having meticulously observed loyalist behavior for millennia, can now predict precisely when the giant golden fist will descend, giving them a precious 0.0001 second head start, enough time perhaps for a final sarcastic internal monologue about human clumsiness. And finally, the pace de resistance planning. This is where the magic or the terrifying efficiency truly happens. It would cause that the consume of that manipulation rate of robot, and yes, can be deployed zero shot on Franco robot arms in new environments to solve prehensile manipulation tasks. This is achieved without collecting any data from the robots in these specific environments and without any task-specific training or reward. It means the robot learns to pick up a novel object it's never seen in a room it's never been in, simply by having understood the world through millions of hours of video and a tiny bit of robotic self-play. It's like teaching